Now, Carl Worthington,
Yes.
you have been in Kigali for a couple of years. What have you been doing here?
Well, we were invited by President Kagame in 2003 to come to Kigali and help him rebuild the country. And in 2004, we began a master plan for Bugesera International Airport, the new airport here. In the next year, we then did an analysis of all of Kigali called Opportunities and Constraints to understand the opportunities and the land and the zoning and the people and so on. That took over 6 months. And then we prepared a conceptual master plan for Kigali that began to give a 50 to 100 year vision of how the city should grow. Controlled growth, preserving the wetlands, pedestrian-oriented, not automobile-oriented community, very sustainable, economic, and environmental. And from there we then did a master plan for King Faisal Hospital. Then we did a master plan for Ramagana for 200 to 300,000 people. Kigali master plan was to absorb 2 to 3 million people in the future. Today, as many know, it's about 1 million in Kigali. And then just recently, this week, I've been presenting to ministers and mayors the results of 2 years of work with 4 sub-area plans that are anywhere from 80 hectares to 200 to 4,500 hectares, and they're like town centers that are under the big conceptual master plan. And this creates new real estate and planning that controls growth, creates a heart to each sub-community, and begins to fulfill the overall master plan for the city for the next 20 or 50 years.
So you are urban planners?
Urban planners. I'm a architect, landscape architect, and urban planner. Oz Architecture, the firm that I'm with, are architects, all of us. We do all of this, but we have a large consulting team, international team. James Edison from San Francisco, Economics and Research Associates, which is community urban development economics. And we have Tetra Tech, international engineers, civil engineering. We have landscape architects and many other people. So it's a multi-discipline team.
Tell me about Bugesera International Airport. Well, you are the guys who did
we did the master plan.
The master plan.
That's right.
What should we expect from it?
Well, as you may know...
What size? Is it going to be the size of Heathrow? What is the vision of this airport?
Well, number one, Kigali has been designated the air control center for all of Africa.
By
the National Air FAA or the National Air People. So it will be one of the major hubs of Eastern South Africa. Number two, it will be a 2-runway airport that could eventually accommodate up to 50 million people a year. So we did the master plan for that in the Bugesera district, which is south of the Nyabaronga River and south of Kigali. So eventually that will become the major hub. They adopted our master plan about 5 years ago. An English group has been doing the final design on the airport, and it may open 5 or 6 years from now. So it's a long-range project, but a very important one. Rwanda is also planning a new railroad coming from Tanzania through Rwanda, eventually going to Mombasa and Uganda, or at least to Uganda. So they are planning major infrastructural plans for the city, looking 50 and 100 years ahead in terms of where the country will be.
And about King Faisal Hospital, how much money is involved in this planning, and what is this expansion going to do?
Well, we're doing a $100 million expansion of expanding.
$100 million.
Yes, expanding the existing hospital with a new physicians section and a new biomedical university research center, and that's located right in the heart of Kigali.
So what are going to be the components in this expansion other than the biomedical? What does a biomedical center do?
Well, it's research, doctors, training, university for students. So it's really an integrated medical complex in addition to a hospital serving the region.
And in this $100 million, are you expanding the number of beds? Are you expanding the number of the amount of laboratory equipment you are going to do?
Expanding everything. Number of beds, the size of the physicians plaza, and a whole new biomedical university for research and education.
And how much progress have you made on the expansion of the hospital?
Well, we will be delivering construction documents for the expansion in about 3 or 4 weeks. So Steve Brooks from Oz Architecture will be here at the end of April, and will be presenting the final design for the expansion.
When you look at Rwanda and the size of its economy, do you think it can be able to develop the kind of city designs I have seen?
Well, yes, I do. I've been in business for 50 years, and many of my projects started in the 60s and now are setting world examples of open space programs, high technology programs, town centers and new cities. And yes.
You think a poor country like this can afford the kind of city I have seen?
Well, cities are not built by the government. Cities are built by the private sector. The city helps lay out the big infrastructure and where things should go. But just like with Singapore, that country is the same footprint as the city limits of Kigali. Today they have 4.5 million people there. And that was all under the guidance of Lee Kuan Yew starting in 1956. And it's now a world economic center with no resources other than salt water being on the ocean. And so some of that, I think, is an example. In fact, Singapore has become an advisor to Rwanda, and Surbana from Singapore, their development agency, is actually helping master plan other parts of Kigali, including the CBD, or the city...
the Central Business District.
Central Business District. So that's underway also in parallel with our planning.
Have you worked in other countries before? Could you mention the cities you have landscaped?
I've worked in 14 countries and traveled to about 50.
Wow.
Japan, China, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, all over the world.
What would you say to many critics of many African plans who say, well, Africa has designed very many plans, we haven't seen much being implemented. This could also be another elephant project.
Well, plans are only one step. The vision is the most important. There are good plans and bad plans. Plans by themselves don't do anything. You need to develop the infrastructure, you need to develop the political will to make the plans happen. You have to engage the private sector to come in with confidence to develop, because if you don't develop the rules, the laws to make it safe to invest, you will never implement your plans. And that's why I think Rwanda and Kigali has been one of the unique countries in the world in terms of democracy and strong laws and very, very low zero corruption and a very visionary president.
Thank you very much, Carl. It's brilliant.
Thanks so much.